Leinster have crumbled in the opening day of the URC. The Stormers, they just charge on with a very comfortable 35-0 win over Leinster. And my word, this was a good game. So I want to break it down. Please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. Let's get into it. So, like I said, the Stormers really put on a show here, beating Leinster 35-0. But before I continue, we have to take in consideration, neither of these teams are playing full-strength squads. I mean, pretty much the entire Leinster squad is B, C, and D teams. So, you know, a vast majority of the players that they did have available to them was not their number one team. Now, yes, they did have players like Prendergast. They did have players like O'Brien, but, you know, it's nowhere close to what it normally is. Like nowhere even remotely close to where they are at full strength. So we have to take that in consideration for both teams. But that's still no excuse. The Stormers really dominated. They dominated for a vast majority of the game. I think it was 76 minutes of the game. They were in the lead. They kept it. They went for points. Got themselves an early lead, especially getting in. What is it? Three penalty goals on the trot. 2 in the first half. Ending the first half 6-0. You know, it was a very tight first half. There was, you know, there was a lot of competition. The Stormers did have the upper hand, I did feel, but it was in that second half where things just started to go, you know, things really started to go south, because we had Ungara come on and put in an absolute brilliant performance. Evan Ruas getting 2 tries within the space of 5 minutes, both converted by Mattia, and then Mattia ended up getting him a try as well on the 70th minute, just kind of, you know, finishing off the game in anything that they might have had. Unfortunately, Leinster, they didn't exactly have the best timing when it came down to those yellow cards, because you look at the timing of the yellow cards and then the timing of the tries that were scored, you know, just after that, you know, it's quite evident to see where Leinster really ended up breaking down in that second half, because Deegan got a yellow card on the 67th on the 62nd minute, Evan Ruas on the 62nd minute, and then O'Brien on the 66th, and then Evan Ruas getting himself his second try on the 67th minute as well. So they were just better in pretty much every single aspect. The Stormers had 100 carries to Leinster's 67. That's a weird number to be seeing for Leinster, being so low. 9 line breaks for the Stormers, 4 for Leinster. Right? They just didn't have that attacking threat. They were not there. I mean, even you look at the turnovers. So Leinster had 17 turnovers lost, comparing to the Stormers 13. And, you know, possession 56%, territory 51% for the Stormers. So they really put in, you know, a solid performance. And Evan Ruas just putting in one of those big, you just had one of those games today. 2 tries, 11 carries. You know, the guy was the guy was very hard to play. And then you had players like Sinatla, who was an absolute beast as well. 4 line breaks, 9 defenders beaten. The guy was just everywhere. He was a scary human being today. So yeah, this was a very strong performance from the Stormers. But again, we have to take this with a pinch of salt, because this was not a full strength Leinster. What we're going to end up seeing in the games later on in the year is going to be a completely different ball game. But starting the season off on the right foot, the Stormers with a big win over Leinster. You know, I was kind of expecting to be a little bit closer than what it actually was, but yeah, they just dominated. They just dominated. So ultimately, I was really happy, you know, from this. So we look at from scrum, you know, set piece wise, you know, the Stormers were dominant when it came down to the set pieces, winning 100% of their scrums. 10 scrums, 94% line-out win, 10 restarts received, 90% of those restarts they've won, comparing to Leinster with 9 scrums, 78% win, 82% line-out win, 1 restart, and obviously restarts win percentage 1. But, they just could not figure out the Stormers. They really could not figure out the Stormers. The Stormers were just, they were making the most out of every single opportunity. They were getting crucial turnovers when it mattered most. There was a lot of unnecessary mistakes as well from Leinster, but it's a different ballgame when they have all of their Lions back. When you have the players that can turn games on their head, when they have players like Sheehan, when they have players, like Gibson Park, a player that can control the tempo of the game, players like James Lowe, who is just an absolute beast, Hugo Keenan, the list can just go on. So they have a lot of elite level talent that just weren't there, and we saw it. They lacked that bite. They didn't have any teeth. I mean, you look at the attacking stats for the Stormers comparing to the Leinster. So the Stormers had 116 passes to Leinster's 92. 100 ball carries compared to Leinster's 67, and then 204 post-contact meters comparing to Leinster's 112. So they only had slightly more passes with a far superior balls carried, and almost double the amount of post-contact meters. So yeah, absolutely brilliant. I mean, even then, we take a look at how good Leinster were defensively, and this speaks a lot. So Leinster had 111 tackles made, 32 tackles missed with a tackle completion of 78%. That is horrible. That really, really is horrible. I mean, the Stormers had 75 tackles, 17 missed with 82% tackle completion. Even then, that was still better, But in terms of penalties, the Stormers conceded 9, comparing to Leinster's 16. 16 penalties conceded, 2 yellow cards. Everything was just going against them. They just couldn't handle the Stormers. I mean, even the kicks, they out-kicked Leinster in every way. They were just pinning them back. So, what did you guys think about the calls made by the ref? I thought there were a couple that were, what's the word for it? Questionable. Some of the decisions were questionable, but I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on it. So please drop your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. But my word, the Storm is starting off the season with a bang, 35-0, and this is going to be an interesting year. So please drop a like, and I'll catch you guys later. Bye.